All right, peace to the gods, the goddesses, my mentors, and everyone else on this journey. There's some things that gotta be said, and the truth that resonates in myself and my being. And I hope to convey that everyone else expresses their truth because my spirit or my inner being has been telling me to do this for a long, 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 long time. For me, studying esoteric and occult knowledge or just living life in general, there has to be some sort of output, some sort of creative part of you receiving so much energy into yourself. And I feel that after receiving so much, that when you give, you start to balance yourself out. Or if you're giving too much, you got to start receiving. And I felt it went both ways with everything that I've went through and been through and went through me. So if it, if we deal with anything, it's about social taboos. Everything that we shouldn't talk about should be talked about. They have to be talked about. These things sit around in our auric fields not being acknowledged. And these things not being acknowledged is just it's just not there. It's the elephant in the room. Like, why can't we talk about certain things? And when we deal with what people call the Illuminati, even though we're the Illuminati, we're the illumined ones, these people who are in control of the central banks and the government and are in control of our air and our food and our water is something we got to deal with because it's on a deeper level. It's in our psychology. It's in our being. It's a spiritual disease that they gave us. And it sounds crazy to the people who have never stepped outside of the reality that they place for us, but it's very powerful for people like me and the people I've learned from who speak beyond this social paradigm of taboos and ideologies and ideas and beliefs about what life is to what it actually is. And we can get to that where that we do create our reality, and we are the creators of our own reality, not creators of others' reality, but our own. And that's what makes us God. And when we deal with God in the sense that we are the creator of this earth, which is our body, and this earth is created by our higher selves, and our higher selves is God. Our higher selves is that aspect of us in the heavens, which is the astral plane. And the astral plane is just a reflection of the infinite, and our higher selves is the infinite's eye in all possibility. So in the sense that we are that God and the infinite has two aspects of what we've been told, or really three, because everything is the omnipotent, omnipresent, infinite being, the all living energy that's living through us and as us. and that is beyond comprehension in human intellect and cannot be squeezed into an idea or ideology or even words, that these words are just abstractions for what God actually is, or in another word, what the infinite is. With our finite minds, we cannot grasp this intelligence that permeates everything and moves everything. But in the sense of being the all perceiving and all knowing, how would it know itself if it is all perceiving and all knowing? It's not like it could look at itself if it knows, if it sees all. So how would it look at itself? Well, when you deal with occult study and esoteric information, or even, it's really not about memorizing that kind of information. It's about internalizing it and making it yours, and being able to interface with the information to see what was beyond the information, what was the intention of the information for you to feel and realize in your own being. That being of so so when we deal with this information, they talk about that the darkness and the light are the same, that the space that holds everything together, the life force, and the object that it's holding together is the same thing, but on two different polarities. So when we're talking about the dark and the light, in the sense that our higher selves in the astral plane, is is that is the primal nature, that is death. We go to the astral plane in death, but death is actually life, in the sense for our spirit to actually feel free and limited in the infinite space that we are. So the astral plane is where God becomes aware of itself on a different level than God being aware of itself here. So God being aware of itself on the astral plane is more of a formless being, in the sense that I could only relate it into the sense that when you're visualizing something in your mind right now, like you could visualize anything, and you're visualizing constantly with your thoughts. You could visualize in your mind anything you want, and it appears, it happens, it's instant, it's like that. That's where your astral self is. That's where your higher self is. It's able to create on the spot. And that's what God is. God is that higher aspect of you, that creative aspect of you. But there's also a downside to that, in the sense that this dream that we're living in creates a lower, that higher aspect creates a lower aspect. And that's what makes up the omnipotent, the infinite, that these two polarities wouldn't be without each other. The astral realm wouldn't be without this realm, and this realm wouldn't be without the astral realm. So it's very important that we recognize the as above, so below, because then when we realize that we can do work in the astral realm and see our being and embody that higher aspect of ourselves, and we do that lucid dream work, or the astral travel work, or just being able to create mentally when we close our eyes. Because when we close our eyes, we're in our inner being, we're peeking in the darkness, which is the astral realm, and we can create light from that aspect of ourselves. But this human aspect of ourselves is a limited perception. It's a perception that is not seeing to its full potential until we ground that astral awareness of being infinite and boundless and all potential, and that all potential, we have to make our reasoning. We have to bring that reasoning up into our limited minds to see that the limitations of the mind is created being a being a god, by realizing you're a god. That that when I was talking about that negative of being a god, um that it's a polarity of being a god. When the Bible, whatever the Babel, or whatever the fuck they're saying, if you read it properly, it's totally different than what we've been presented. But when we could read it properly, but on the surface level, you could see that the metaphysical aspect of God that they talk about with judgment and being a jealous God, we're talking about this aspect of being human and our survival functions of our bodily needs, and how our body's an animal, and that it's based on survival, and that it uses its reasoning, its lower reasoning and intellect, to want to survive in a higher frequency. And this body is always choosing to live in a higher frequency, or in the higher frequency in the sense of balance between the higher and the lower frequencies. So when we realize that this nature of our body is seeking balance, when when we're seeking balance, it's important to dip into meditation, because when we're meditating, we are allowing we are doing nothing. We are giving space to hear the balance that needs to be needed in our psyche, in our soul, which is the medium between heaven and hell, the medium between the above and the below. And it's very important that we meditate, or not even meditate it, because that word will bring up many conceptions and ideas in your mind, and it will not get you to the place where you want to go. So I like to say, is the art of doing nothing. When you're able to do nothing, when you're able to want to be nothing and feel nothing, well, not feel nothing, but feel your expansiveness. When you're nothing, you're everything. You feel this sense of freeing, because your being is actually boundless and infinite. So in this culture, we've been taught to constantly be doing and doing and doing, and this doing is stimulating. This doing distracts us from our internal work. Sometimes the doing can be internal work, but in the beginning, the non-doing, the non-being, the being still, the cultivation of silence for your conscious mind, for your mind to grasp, will allow you to balance consciously your psyche, instead of the universe and the balancing force of nature through your situations and experiences to balance you out. So you will experience less and less trouble in this world if you start doing that balancing work of cultivating stillness and being still and living living in a state of non-desire, because the state of non-desire is not imposing on the perfection of the world, because everything is and everything is perfect, but the human mind creates imperfection. So it's very important to be still, to at least have 5 minutes a day of being still, because if we can't, there's definitely something wrong. If you see a baby, maybe in his first year, it's very still, and we see that even though it's pre-programmed and it feels the energy and it's picking up on the energy of the world of desire and stimulation, it is very simple and blissful, and there's an innocence to being in the state of non-desire. Hold on. So I'm just talking shit. You know what I mean? Just getting this expression out. It's gonna get better. It is getting better right now. But when you're all perceiving and all knowing and you hop into that space, it's realizing your enlightenment is already here, and the illusion of rising the kundalini is illusion to the spirit, but it's very real to the human self. It's very real to the soul. But the all perceiving spirit that you are, which is the three, the soul's the two, this is the one, and that goes backwards again. It's very interesting when you could touch that aspect of yourself, that true self, that's even beyond the astral plane, or that creates the astral plane and created this. It's not even it's everything. It would be the word. A lot of people use it because that's it. It's all it. I am that. You know what I mean? It's that. And when we see that being uh being a spirit, an infinite spirit in a body of limitation and finite, of the cycle between life and death, we can learn how to project limitation in the sense of polarization to realize who we are, or to create our reality. Because creating our reality starts with being a condenser, a person who could look at both sides of the coin and choose that one side through focus and attention, and through cultivating that emotion or energy or thought in that world of your mind. We usually let the people around us cultivate a certain idea that we've been given by them, and we don't know how to dispel those things that we've been taught. These things that we've been taught are subconscious programs, and they don't see They don't see outside of themselves. The programs of belief that are in your subconscious mind, in my subconscious mind, they are they aren't aware of their existence. They are their own living entity, and all they care about is survival. Just like your ego, it's the same thing. These thought forms and ideas and ideologies, their ego, in the sense that they can't they can't look outside of themselves or look within themselves. They are solely there to just be there, to be a a a spirit without inward perception. They are a thought form without realizing they're a thought form. And it goes back to yourself too. It's the same concept, that we aren't aware that, well, a lot of us aren't, but we aren't aware that we aren't we aren't aware that we aren't aware of everything that's going on. That's really what it is. And that's humbling for yourself and for your ego and for your limited mind, to realize that, shit, I don't know everything. And I have no right to tell anyone what to do. I could only point, I could only guide, I could only say the things that I've realized and I've learned and I've studied and all that. But it all comes down to your higher self's mission and purpose in yourself. Because my spiritual journey is totally different than every other person's. Doesn't gotta be yoga, doesn't gotta be me being vegan. I've These things do elevate your consciousness in a sense, but we can't get stuck on certain things. We have to, what a lot of people say, you got to resonate with that core frequency. You got to resonate with what your higher self brought you down here to do. When you do what your higher self brought you down here to do, that's when you feel that life force moving through you. So like right now, just even me saying that, I felt that surge of energy, because I've been I've been rejecting me talking publicly to others about this type of information and energy, because this energy is very raw, very truthful, very in your face. Um, the New Age movement, or it's not New Age, but it's very ancient. But the New Age movement that was pushed by the agenda of the people who run this simulation, this artificial realm of materiality, or the primal substance, or the zodiac, or just these architects, even though we're the supreme architect above these primal architects, because we're the infinite spirit and our higher selves on the astral plane. But beyond that higher self, the higher self is just the whole in the infinite, and it sees through. But we are actually the infinite peeking through the astral realm, and peeking through the astral realm, we're peeking through the material realm. So there's a yin and yang polarity, though, because you could peek at your infinite self here, and you could peek at your infinite self in the astral realm. And that's that dark and light, and those two holes in the polarity. But we can be, we are so much more than we've been programmed to be. Um, life is puzzling. It's very, you could swing so many ways. You could look at things from so many angles, that it's a roller coaster. And the life force, the spirit, the balancing factor that we're in, helps us bring balance to ourselves. And That's what the ego's here for. That's what the limited self is for. Because with all these perception and all these angles and all these ways of perceiving can be very overwhelming to a person who is very straight, narrowed, and lined. It's very important to be that straight, narrowed, and lined through focus and laser intention. But being able to jump from idea to perspective, you could bring a holistic perspective and be able to put it together and reason through that. And when we talk about making sense, we're making money, we're making materialization of energy and feeling from the thought plane. So we're making sense of things, of of being being alive. So a lot of these ideas and ideologies, we go to them to feel a sense of comfort. And when these ideas are challenged, they don't feel comfortable anymore. Cognitive dissonance. They so but some of these ideas being comfortable in our being, they don't allow us to expand and grow and be alive in our experience here, because they are hindering our spiritual growth and what our soul came here to do. And it's powerful to really listen to yourself and not be swayed by other people's opinions about what you should do with your life, because that'll bring you down a hole of suffering and regret. And I could feel it around many people. When you go anywhere, you see it, and it hurts my heart. And I've been blessed to have a family that has been guiding me and letting me express my soul's divine mission here, even if it appears slow. But being 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 aware of who what you are and what actually this is a great jump in awareness to being someone who realizes every day their true nature and being something that is better than what the program wants you to be. You're the glitch in the matrix if you realize and you study information that liberates your mind and liberates your limitations. And really, the information will expand your limitations, but that doesn't mean in the garden of your mind there isn't limitations that you still agree upon emotionally, spiritually, what you identify with. And we have to know these things. We have to take that journey within every day. We have to be able to self-reflect in every moment, self-reflection in every moment, in every dialogue, in the sense, not in the sense of being unpresent, being super present with other people, but being self-reflective after, or maybe when you're triggered and you feel this emotion inside of you, self-reflect on that. And even if it's theirs, see what could you learn from it? What could I take away from this energy that is coming into my field of awareness? Because everything is divine, everything is something that has to be acknowledged, everything, because you are that, you are everything in this universe, because you are the ultimate creator, not in the sense of your human self or your body or your limited perception, but the other aspect of you, the being who lives in the infinite aspect of yourself. I don't know if I was making sense. I was definitely making sense to the people who could hear it, but I would love to have clarifications on the things I've said. I would love to have people's input, criticism. With time and practice, my camera skills will get extremely better. I'll get super comfortable. My truth will come out in a beautiful, fashioned way. I am a student. I am not no teacher. I am a teacher, but I will not label myself that. I know I could guide and help people realize their true nature through information in my class and me being a embodiment of my teaching and my light that I came here to do. But I am most definitely a student from head to toe. I'm I don't want to be I don't want people to follow me. I want to do the justice as my other teachers have done, where they don't want me to follow them. They want me to follow my higher self. They want me to follow my soul's intuition and my guide of my light. And I wouldn't do anyone knows disjustice or harm for following any ideology or any dogma or any specific way to live your life or how to think. That's not that's not cool. That's We've been imposed our whole lives. We've been imposed around our whole surroundings, and we've been buried. Our soul's intuition, our higher self has been buried underneath all these social programming and conditioning. And the whole goal of spiritual practice is to listen and hear that voice and then use that voice to give to the world. And I'm very inspired by a lot of artists, a lot of people who speak their truth. And I've always resonated with that super much. That's something that I'm aiming for in myself, in my expression, in anything, whether it's basketball, whether it's working out, whether it's speaking, whether it's rapping, whether it's any of these things. It's very important to be able to express your divinity in any outlet, and it could be expressed in any outlet. And we're not all here to do the same thing. We're here to express our unique awareness and consciousness and individuality of our human experience, because we're all looking through a different perception, a different lens of life, because we are all a different lens of life in the same looking in the same thing and looking from the same thing. So I really relate to when Alan Watts was talking about that we're just funnels, one end up, one end down, in and out, in and out, in and out of perception. Because we are all truly a bar, like we are a barcode. All of us is a barcode. We're lines, we're a timeline. One and one and one, one and one and one. But those ones, all those lines have a zero on top of it. It's a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? So we have a void and we have a fullness at the same time, and we're able to go in and out between both of them. But we can see that being alive and being not regretful or rejectful about this experience can really liberate our minds and liberate our anxieties of the ego to be super amazing. I know my energy is a little on a different energy right now, but it's uh it's very important that I start speaking, because I'm gonna get very comfortable, and I'm really gonna bring a lot of value. And I think I brought value today to the people who have been on this journey and have been knowing. Hopefully, I made some connections for you guys. You know, hit me up. I love to talk. Anything consciousness, anything awareness, anything I could learn from. I'm willing to learn, especially if you make music. I want to learn. I want to learn that the most. So please, let me know. 35-minute video. People who gonna watch it, bro. And you guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you wanting to hear this. And yeah, they're gonna be long videos definitely, because I like going in deep. I like going in deep. All right, so peace out to y'all. Express your truth. Be the one you're searching for, and remember to self-reflect. Peace out. Peace in.